The organization Open Secrets says there are officials within the NPA and the police who've been able to stop proper accountability for the crimes of the state capture era. Now, the group says this is why there are so few prosecutions for those crimes. It's also demanding that these officials be removed. Well, let's get some perspective now, and we speak to the NPA's spokesperson, Advocate Mthunzi Mhaga. Advocate, very good morning to you. Before we kick off our conversation, I'd like for you to have a listen to what the person from Open Secrets had to say exactly to this channel yesterday about the challenges within the NPA. Let's take a listen.
The NPA knows about these prosecutors like Andrew Chauke. When the new management took over in 2018, in the NPA's first annual report, they said that there were prosecutors inside the authority who were accused of aiding and abetting state capture, and that's a quote. So the question to the NPA is, why has it taken so long to investigate and discipline officials like Andrew Chauke? Chauke is the head of prosecutions in Joburg. He is responsible for cases like the Prasa case, but he has also been accused of delaying state capture cases like the case against former Gauteng and Health MEC Brian Flongwa. So why is he still responsible for state capture cases and in such a powerful office?
Mr. Mhaga, that's the investigator who sits in the organization Open Secrets. The question to you is exactly what she says. Why has it taken so long to conclude these investigations, particularly around people like Advocate Andrew Chauke?
Good morning, Koli. First of all, I need to respond to the whole report before I get to that. Our view is that the report is factually incorrect in terms of making a sweeping statement, for example, that says the NPA and the Hawks have been delaying accountability for state capture, which we believe that is not factual, given the fact that we have communicated in the media that so far the ID, which is mandated to deal with state capture cases, has enrolled over 20 cases, has declared investigations of over 86, with 65 accused persons appearing in court on alleged state capture cases, with about 3 seminal cases having been enrolled recently. We will recall that the case on ESCOM, the case on Randstad, and the SARS have been enrolled. And we have promised that before the end of September, we'll be enrolling other seminal cases. That loses sight of the fact that also since the release of the first, second, and third state capture report, the NPA has established or set up a task force that's responsible for coordinating and auditing of all cases emanating from state capture reports in order to prioritize them, with Advocate Dikok leading that task force. These results of the enrollments are a result of the establishment of that task force, which means we are working as a well-oiled machine in order to ensure that we hold those most responsible for corruption and alleged state capture to account. They make a sweeping statement that we've been delaying the cases, and we've not delayed any accountability for state capture. Now, coming to your question as to why the delay in holding some of these senior officials to account, we need to be procedurally and substantively fair in applying strict compliance with applicable labor laws. There have been investigations that have been quite a protracted process, given the number of people and the positions that they hold, that have been underway, and that process is now at an advanced stage. Unfortunately, Chloe, for obvious reasons, by nature, disciplinary processes are an internal process between the employer and the employee, and as such, details of the names, for example, and the allegations against those people will not be discussed in the media. The process is at a sensitive and advanced stage.
Mr. Mhaga, while the viewers may appreciate that process has got to be adhered to, otherwise some of these people find their way back into their jobs, it's been 4 years. 2018 is when Open Secrets says the investigations against Andrew Chauke began, how can it take 4 years to conclude a matter?
I've indicated that the positions the officials hold, the protracted process is informed by the voluminous nature of the documentation that had to be considered and the number of officials that are involved. And as such, the period became quite protracted. But I have outlined the fact that this process is now at an advanced stage and soon decisions will be taken.
Can you argue, without any shadow of doubt, that the cases that have been handled under Advocate Chauke have not been compromised in any way? There's been talk of delays around the matter faced by the ANC member in Gauteng, a senior member at that, Brian Hlongwa. There have been complaints around the Senzo Meyiwa case that this very same prosecutor may be involved in suppressing certain cases. Can you argue that this person being at the helm of the NPA in Johannesburg has not compromised a single case under him?
Let me place it on record that I have not disclosed the names of any of these senior officials that are being investigated in the NPA. However, there is no evidence to indicate that the process of handling those cases is compromised by them still continuing to be in the employ.
Mr. Mhaga, I'm going to ask you to be careful with that hand because I think it is blocking the sound. Let me ask you the question around whether or not an ethics body has been launched within the NPA whose specific mandate would be to hold before it prosecutors who are either viewed with suspicion or have done something wrong.
One thing about Advocate Batoy since taking office was to ensure that she rebuilds the institution and in doing so, ensure that we maintain a high level of integrity and started with developing and ensuring that every employee in the NPA lives by the IPEC values of independent professionalism, accountability and credibility. In terms of Section 22, subsection 5 of the NPA Act, the National Director, in consultation with the Deputy National Directors and the Directors of Public Prosecutions, has to ensure that this sets up a structure that you've alluded to. And that is done through regulations that are signed off by the Minister of Justice to ensure that from an ethical point of view, complaints that are directed at members of the NPA are channeled through that structure. Now, it's in compliance with that provision of the NPA Act that we have submitted regulations to the Minister of Justice, who will sign them off. So they are awaiting approval by the Minister of Justice for that structure to start operating. So indeed, there is process that is at an advanced stage to ensure that we hold those responsible for misconduct and any other impropriety to account in the NPA.
As we conclude, Advocate Mhaga, while we may be aware of exactly what you said, that you have not disclosed a single person whose disciplinary proceedings are being held right now within the NPA, how long then, what's the time frame for people like Andrew Chauke, whose name has been mentioned publicly? As I said before, he has been disciplined or has been undergoing a disciplinary process since 2018. When can matters like that be concluded?
I must place it on record again that Advocate Chauke has not gone through any disciplinary process, but there are processes that are underway that relate to certain officials in the NPA who are senior. We are hoping to conclude these processes soon, but I can't give time frame, unfortunately.
And so, please, just, I can't believe that I'm hearing this from you. So, Open Secrets is very clear that Advocate Andrew Chauke is among the people that the NPA has said he is being looked into in terms of being disciplined. Are you saying that he is under no investigation or disciplined in any way?
When you talk of a disciplinary process and you talk of a process being initiated in respect of a certain senior official, you need to understand that these are distinct in the sense that I am saying there is no investigation, but there are processes that are underway to initiate a process that relates to certain officials in the NPA.
All right. I'm going to have to leave it there because your job is to spin us all you want, Advocate Mhaga, but I don't think I've gotten a clear response there. Is Advocate Andrew Chauke being disciplined or not? It's a simple question.
I have not placed on record the names of any person, but there are processes that are at an advanced stage that relate to certain officials in the NPA.
Advocate Mthunzi Mhaga, thank you very much for your time.